15th, 2019. Please turn off or silence your cell phones. Please join me in a moment of order. I'm sorry, moment of silence. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Okay. You would read the roll, please.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Reed. Here. Brown. Lawler.
Here.
Spicer. Here. Williamson.
Present.
And Mayor Atchison.
Here. Quick reminder to everybody to make sure your mics speak into the mic so the public can hear. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. In section number B, I just wanted to do an update. We wanted to have a discussion, that was fine, but I just wanted to do an update about it.
Which item, I'm sorry? Item B under items for individual discussion?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, if there's no other changes to the agenda, motion to approve.
So moved.
Okay, seconded.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Agenda is approved. Okay. First item under presentations and recognitions, presentation on grant writing, Ms. Paulette Porter and Nicole DuPont. Yes, please.
Yes. I've done this before. This is kind of
Welcome.
thank you. Thank you. I was told to come tonight to tell you a little bit about my grant writing experience. I graduated from Michigan State with a degree in urban planning and urban policy, and from there went to work at HUD in Washington and became Deputy Assistant Secretary for Intergovernmental Relations and Deputy Chief of Staff different times. And I have been working in Calhoun County for, probably 12 or 13 years. I was Director of Health Programming for a number of years at the Battle Creek Community Foundation. I currently, I'm now a consultant, and I have written grants in the last couple of years for the Battle Creek Community Foundation, Battle Creek Public Schools, Tri-County Labor Council, Neighborhoods, Inc., Area Agency on Aging, and it's off the top of my head. And I don't know what else to share with you all. I'd be happy to help. I've been involved in a lot of Albion projects through the Community Foundation and through the Area Agency on Aging. I've been attending some of the housing meetings and focusing primarily in my role for Area Agency on Aging for senior housing. I don't know what else to share with you, but.
You want to add?
So because of some of the concerns that I've heard from some of the members in our precinct and even some of the members of council, I know we have been talking about getting somebody that could assist us with grant writing. Because of our former city manager that left, she was the person that did most of the grant writing and things of that nature while she was here. So I wanted to be able to bring somebody else forward that we could look at for some of the, before we have our, what is it, when we're gonna get together and discuss what our plans and goals are and what we would like to see going forward. This is some information, or she could be a part of that to help us be able to go forward. And I wanted to introduce her to you guys and maybe make a decision on that later if we would like to have her to become a part of helping us with make our city of Albion great.
Definitely.
Questions from council? Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have a question, but I'm excited to hear that you have help with the senior housing and the Neighborhood Inc. So I'm happy for that.
Oh,
Thank you.
I have a question. Do you have any experience working with the local grant makers and grant seekers in Albion, Albion Community Foundation, Chamber of Commerce, EDC?
I've
Do you
only
have local networks.
I've only applied and received grants from the Albion Community Foundation to conduct Aging Mastery Program, which is a 10-week program to teach people how to age, basically through the National Council on Aging. So that's my only like direct work was applying and receiving a grant from the Albion Community Foundation. And I don't know who else did you mention, Shane?
The Chamber of Commerce, the Economic Development Corporation.
Not really. I've attended meetings that the Economic Development Corporation staff have been to and started to work with them. And the people who left, the person who left, I can't think of her name right now, that went to Lansing. Yeah. Oh, Peggy, I worked a lot with her, but the young woman who just went, yeah, I worked with her a bit. So yeah, a little bit here and there. It's always been very project-based, so.
What's your track record?
My track record? I've only had one grant that was declined, and that was a big one with the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation because we didn't have a big university involved. We had Michigan State involved, but it wasn't big enough, I guess. So.
Thank you, and appreciate your offer to help us, and
Yeah,
I
happily.
appreciate your background experience.
Great, thank you.
Okay. Next item is proclamation recognizing Saturday, the 27th of April, as Drug Take-Back Day in Albion. And I think we have some representative from the Albion Homer Substance Abuse Coalition. Proclamation recognizing Saturday, April 27th, as Drug Take-Back Day in Albion. Whereas Saturday, April 27th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., the Albion Public Safety, in conjunction with the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, will give the public its 17th opportunity in 9 years to prevent pill abuse and theft by ridding their homes of potentially dangerous, expired, unused, and unwanted prescription drugs. And whereas the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration's national survey on drug use and health shows year after year that the majority of misused and abused prescription drugs are obtained from family and friends, including someone else's medication being stolen from the home medicine cabinet. And whereas Americans are now advised that the usual method for disposing of unused medicines, flushing them down the toilet or throwing them in the trash, both poses potential safety and health hazards. And whereas medicines that languish in home cabinets are highly susceptible to diversion, misuse, and abuse, and whereas rates of prescription drug abuse in the U.S. are alarmingly high, as are the number of accidental poisonings and overdoses due to these drugs, and whereas overall, in its 16 previous take-back events, Drug Enforcement Administration and its partners have taken in almost 11 million pounds, nearly 5,500 tons of pills. And whereas this initiative addresses a vital public safety and public health issue, now therefore I, Dave Atchison, Mayor of Albion, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 27, 2019, as Drug Take-Back Day in Albion. So, thank you. Do you want to say a few words and explain how it's going to take place here in Albion?
As chairperson for the Albion Homer Substance Abuse Prevention Coalition, I want to thank the mayor and council for recognizing the important work we do in this area. We encourage people to clean out their cabinets, their medicine cabinets, to discard old or unused medications by bringing them to the Saturday, April 27th Take Back Day at Family Fair Supermarket from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you are unable to make that date and time, there are two locations of our red boxes that med boxes that are located on the main floor here in City Hall, and there's one over in Homer at the Village Hall entrance there. So we ask that people responsibly take care of their older unused medications so that it's not left behind for others to use, and hope that you will partake in this event. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. You want to add anything? Okay. And the red box that's here in City Hall and over in Homer, their village version of City Hall, that's there around the year round. So please encourage everybody, folks listening at home, go through your medicine cabinets and clean out, and that's the proper way to dispose of it. It's bad for the environment, and leave them in the medicine boxes does pose a risk of abuse and diversion. So please support that. Okay, next item, Ms. Haley Snyder, our acting Assistant City Manager, will give us a presentation on the Calhoun County Transit Study Survey.
Good morning, good evening, Mayor and Council. I had the pleasure of attending the Calhoun County Transit Study Visioning Workshop. It was on March 21st. Mayor Atchison also attended that as well. We discussed the possibility of bringing a countywide transportation to Calhoun County. At the workshop, we focused on the SOAR analysis model. That is the strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and results to bring something like this to our county. The study is being led by the county government with support of many community partners. The next step in this workshop or study is to encourage people to take a survey to ask, to provide their feedback about their transportation needs and priorities. The survey takes roughly 5 to 10 minutes and will be available through the end of May. You can go to calhouncountitransit.com to access this survey. So I just ask that you all encourage your constituents to go online and take this survey, because as much feedback that we receive, the better. I know at the workshop that mentioned the possibility of having paper copies of the survey. I have not yet received anything nor heard if that is possible, but if I do, I will be sure to provide that info to you all and make it available here at the Calhoun County, at the county city building. We'll also be adding a link to our city website, as well as pushing it through our Facebook pages to get the word out as much as possible, as well as doing a press release. So any questions or?
I have a copy of the paper survey, and I'm sure that County Commissioner Tompkins will mention it. So,
Perfect.
Councilmember Longer, you have a question?
No, you answered it.
Oh, okay.
Because I just wanted to be able to, I'll be out in the community this weekend, so I wanted to be able to get something to my residents, because they don't use the web or anything like that. So writing something out and me picking it up, when does it have to be in?
They didn't give a specific deadline. They just said through the end of May. So
Okay.
sooner rather than later. If you could encourage them to get that completed, that would be better. It's a very good, exciting initiative that is coming to our county. We don't have something like that countywide, so it would be very beneficial to all members of Calhoun County.
Thank you.
I took the survey, actually this week I did it. It's important that we all take it. One of the things, having experienced with surveys in my past that's really important is that they are taking down demographic information, and so the more representation, the better. Albion and Homer and the eastern part of Calhoun County have a lot of diversity and a lot of strengths in that, and so the more people that from our area that respond, the better it will be.
Oh, yes.
So I just want to encourage everybody to go ahead and take that. It took me about 3 to 5 minutes to get through it. It was a very quick blip in the day. I don't even really remember how long it took, but it's very, very easy once you get online.
It's not also only for county residents. If you know people who might live outside of the county but they commute into our cities, also encourage them to log on and complete that survey as well, because all feedback, any and all feedback would be just greatly appreciated.
Please get the paper copy from me tonight before we separate here.
I sure will.
Should be right here in my bag.
Yes, I was going to ask, do you have one paper copy or more of people at the senior home with positive
I can, I can get the one copy from him and get copies made and get those to you. Any further questions?
Thank you, Ms. Snyder.
Yep, thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Next item is public comments. Persons addressing the city council, please limit your comments to agenda items only and no more than 3 minutes. Proper decorum is required, and I ask the folks in the gallery, please show respect for those speaking. So are there public comments this evening on agenda items?
Good evening. Garrett Brown, 1016 South Superior Street. Just a comment on agenda items I and J, and then A. So I'll go in that order. Hopefully, what it seems like, or what the agenda suggests, is there's going to be an attempt to pursue the reimbursement from GovHR. I know there was mention last time, questioning the attorney about that. And so I know litigation's always a possibility. I think that if the city did that, that'd be wasteful. And then if we lost, we'd probably have to pay them for attorney's fees. And, ultimately, I think it's not necessarily a question about the firm. I think MML, any of the several firms that applied or bid last time would have been able to make postings in the same periodicals or to do a community forum and do interviews with council. I just think that if part of the warranty for GovHR is to cover an entire search and we use that for a department head search, that's extremely wasteful, because even if MML or another search firm is used, we're going to shell out multiple tens of thousands of dollars for a new firm. And so I just don't see how that's fiscally responsible, when ultimately the decision, unfortunately, that happened with our former manager, but ultimately that was the decision of 6 out of 7 council members. So the council made that hiring decision, not the search firm. The second topic is item A, the appointment for EDC. One of the concerns that I had, and I think that it should be public and really considered, because I know people in the public can think about it and see it too, is when the prospective appointee is, well, when the vice chair of the EC board, the president of the college, is on the board of Homestead Savings Bank, and then the president of Homestead Savings Bank is who's the prospective appointee, his institution is also a major lender to the chair of the Albion Reinvestment Corporation, so ARC. I think that sets up a line of influence that some could question. And so I think that that's something that we really should think about when we make appointments, is making sure that we're not appointing people to boards in a way that makes the boards insular from the demographic of the community. And so I think that that's something that the council can consider, because that's a potential chain of influence there that could be inappropriate. So I'd ask council to consider those. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Are there further public comments this evening on the agenda items? Okay. Next up, consent calendar. We have 3 items. They're voted on as one unit. Approval of regular session minutes for April 1st, 2019. Assembly permit for Albion Industries Company picnic in Victory Park Pavilion, scheduled for the 20th of July. And approval for the American Legion to place flags on the veterans' graves on the 4th of May. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the 3 items under the consent calendar?
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Is there any discussion, questions? Okay. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Okay, they are approved. Okay, item A, request approval for boards and commissions appointment. Mr. Scott Evans, appointment to the Albion Economic Development Corporation, term to expire in July 2024. Mr. Evans, I see you're here this evening. I'll give you the opportunity if you wish to say a few words. Thank you for being here.
Good evening, everybody. I think I know most of you. I just appreciate your support of the nomination. I look forward to working with the EDC as I had done previously. I'm just completing my 39th year in the financial services industry. Economic is so vitally important to the success of Albion. I always look for Albion's best interests. It's also critical for Homestead Savings Bank. We have been a major contributor in lending in this financial market here. We look forward to that, and I always believe that I put the bank's and the city's interests first. So I appreciate it and look forward to working with the EDC again in the city.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Is Mr. Evans currently on the EDC and we're just?
No, he was appointed, I believe, in July of last year. I could be wrong, could be at some point, but he was appointed last year to fill out a term that expired, and then previous mayor appointed Ms. Rufus into that. She's no longer on the board, and so there's a vacancy. And I've spoken with multiple members of the boards as to what skill set would be the best benefit, and every person I've spoken to, one, speaks highly of Mr. Evans, but two, financial and banking interest, background and experience is of critical need and desire.
Well, I only ask because I see on his application it says currently on EDC.
It was when the application was filed 10 months ago,
Okay.
and that's when he was appointed by my predecessor, and now we're attempting to get him reappointed. Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. Just get my notes up here. So last winter or fall, we had to declare Mr. Brewer was unable to take his seat, and Attorney Harkness advised the council to declare the seat vacant. So, and it's nothing against you. I don't want nobody emailing you saying I'm attacking you or anything like that, but.
Won't take it that way.
Okay, so I think that the council should do the same here, make a resolution. In the EDC Act, I don't have my paper with me, but Attorney Harkness, could you look up EDC Act Section 4.5 and 4.6 and tell the council what it says, please?
Sure what you mean by 4.5, 4.6. There's the statutes start at 1601 through 1636. Are you looking for as it relates to appointments and removal?
Yes, yes.
So, the way that I think the section that you're looking for is under MCL 125.1604, parens 6. A director may be removed from office for cause by a majority vote of the governing body.
So basically, we have to declare the seat vacant, right?
Well, there's two things that you can do there. That is how the governing body can remove a director, but the EDC also has its own bylaws that say if a director doesn't attend a certain number of meetings, and forgive me, I don't have their bylaws in front of me.
Okay.
3.
okay, apparently I'm being told it's 3, then the board can declare it vacant as well. Their own board can declare it vacant. So you can do it either way. Certainly, this council can take a vote and from a council side of it, declare the seat, or it's not so much declaring it vacant, but saying that you're going to vote to remove someone from that position, or the governing body can take a vote because they haven't complied with their bylaws. I don't know if that vote has occurred. One should occur before the seat is filled, I will say that.
So what's the question?
So I guess, has the board done that? Declared it?
President of the board is here.
Okay.
If you want to address that, my understanding, as being part of the board, is that the bylaws say if you miss 3 consecutive meetings,
Unexcused.
right.
It has nothing, it doesn't say anything for that requirement that it has to be board approved.
And I believe you consulted with the attorney for the EDC, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, so legal opinion,
Right.
and so that it is vacant, so we're here to fill that vacancy.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we was doing things even across the board. That's it.
Yeah.
So, I have a question.
Councilmember Clark.
So, I heard you say that you have been looking out for the betterment of Albion. Could you tell me what you have done for us, or what is in support for maybe District 1 and District 4, as far as any kind of development or anything that will help improve this area?
Well, we have been involved in several downtown business establishments. I can't name all of them because it's information that they should disclose, not that I should disclose. But I can tell you a number of downtown businesses that have established that we've been involved in financing. We're also very strong in the housing market to provide housing. We're also, Homestead is very dedicated to its community events that we support, as well as I do personally. But to specifically name them is not probably my right to do that, to disclose who does business with us. But we've been involved in many of the commercial developments.
The downtown area.
In downtown. And anywhere that we get approached to help provide financing.
In the housing.
In housing.
Councilmember Williamson.
I just want you to speak to a little bit. So one of the things I learned during the home buying process was the difference between a local bank in savings doing the mortgage and one of the larger national banks doing your mortgage. And I was just wondering, because one of the most important things in Albion is the ability to own a home and the ability to own land. And Homestead is very active in that. Could you explain to me why Homestead is so important in providing home loans in Albion?
Well, the first thing is our lenders are here. We live here. We work here. We're involved in the community. You can come in and apply for a mortgage with me. I'm a lender in many of these situations myself. So we're face to face. I think it's also very important to know that we don't sell our servicing. So if you got difficulty with your taxes or insurance or anything like that, we're servicing our loans. So we do both of those. We participate in many government programs that include FHA, VA, FHLBI, USDA lending, so we offer all those types of products. When we make a commitment to our customers, we live with that commitment. Many times you get to an underwriting process and the commitment changes, so we're very dedicated that way. We're here for the betterment of the community, because if the community doesn't succeed, Homestead doesn't succeed.
And
we have worked with the land bank, yes.
And I just wanted to add in relation to that, one of the things that happened during the financial crisis, one of the causes of the financial crisis were the large banks selling off bad investments, bad mortgages, bad bets that they had made in local communities all around the country. Homestead Bank is different in that it does not participate in that predatory lending, and so I wanted to help distinguish the work that you're doing from something like a national bank would do, so thank you so much.
I appreciate your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Evans. Okay. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of appointing Mr. Scott Evans to the Albion Economic Development Corporation, say aye.
This is a voice vote, Mayor.
Say again?
Voice vote, Mayor.
Okay. Would you call the roll, please?
Councilmember Clark,
No.
Reed. Yes. Lawler,
No.
Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. I believe that passed, right? Thank you. All right. Next item is on the agenda at Councilmember Law's request, discussion of the Albion Marshall Connector, an update on that. Would you like to address that?
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that the interim city manager attended a meeting, him and I attended a meeting with the Albion Marshall Connector, and I just wanted our taxpayers to know that how the Marshall Connector has been a great asset to Albion. So we were handed out these number of passenger trips, and it was divided up in 4 categories. And so I'll read the information that I have, and just to let you know that the Albion Marshall Connector is good right now for Albion. For medical reasons, we use it 48%, education 23%, shopping and other things 17%, and people that work over there in Marshall or in Albion is 12%. So, and they have a breakdown of the medical and education ridership by destination. For medical, to Oakline is 64%. They have a therapy rehab over there, and people use it for 34% of the people use it. And for the Marshall Medical Center, 2%. As far as education, Marshall Public Schools, 81% of the students use the connector, and the Marshall Academy, 19% uses the Albion Marshall connector. So I just wanted to give a little update of what I learned, and thank our chief for attending that meeting with me. This is our 2nd meeting, so it was pretty productive, and I just wanted to share it with everyone.
Thank you.
And I'd like to just add to that, the current funding for the Albion Marshall Connector is running through June of 2021. But this is part of what Ms. Snyder was up here talking about with the transit study. It's important to get that information out because they're studying transit throughout Calhoun County, and that's what will probably be funding the Albion Marshall Connector or whatever replaces that at that time. So that information is important for them to know.
Further questions by council? That's been a lot.
Okay, thank you. Just to let you know who are all at the table at this point is the Battle Creek Community Foundation, Marshall Public Schools, Oakline Hospital, us, the City of Albion, the Calhoun County Senior Millage, the Marshall Academy. They have all been committed to pay. We are reaching out to like 4 other entities to help us foot the bill through 2021?
June of 2021.
Okay. So just to let you know, we do have partners, and it's important to work together. So thank you, Mayor, and interim for putting it back on the agenda. Appreciate it.
Okay. Next item is request approval, 2nd reading and adoption of ordinance 2019-03 and ordinance to amend ordinance 58-166, possession and use of marijuana. I'd ask our city attorney to give us an overview. Oh, thank you. May I have a motion to approve the ordinance 2019-03?
So moved.
Seconded?
Support?
Okay.
Okay, so we talked about this at the last meeting, what was referred to as initiated law number 1 of 2018 is also the Michigan Regulation and Taxation of Marijuana Act, which did two things. One, it basically mandated that there's going to be a structure for facilities that manufacture recreational marijuana. That is currently on the back burner while the entire state waits for the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs to put rules in place. But it also made several changes to the use and possession of recreational marijuana. So we needed to make a change to our local ordinance that governs use and possession of marijuana. So in a nutshell, what it does is possession of more than what is allowed under the Act of Marijuana. First offense is a civil infraction, $100 fine. If you possess possess twice the amount, first violation is a $500 fine and forfeiture of the marijuana. Second is a $1,000 fine and forfeiture of marijuana. Third is a misdemeanor, $500 fine and forfeiture of marijuana. If you recall, the reason for that 500, 1,000, and back to 500 is when it shifts to a misdemeanor, the city is limited by the Home Rule City Act with misdemeanors that the penalty can't exceed $500. So that's why there's that change. Minors in possession of marijuana, if you're 18 years of age or under, excuse me, less than 18 years of age, it's a $100 fine, some community service forfeiture, and some drug education and counseling. If you're if it's a second offense, the fine goes up to $500. I've also built in a provision that precludes use of marijuana at any public parks, public streets, sidewalks, schools, things of that nature. And something else I wanted to touch on that I didn't get to touch on last time, and actually I got to give credit to Councilwoman Clark that asked a very good question. The new law makes no change as it relates to prohibitions on operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of marijuana. That still remains criminal offense. That's unchanged. Another one that I wanted to make the council aware of is an individual that sells or provides marijuana, for example, to a minor, still remains a felony under state law. So I'm happy to answer any questions the council might have. I fully expect that this law will be interpreted 20 different ways as soon as it starts to make it through the court system, because there's lots of municipalities that are doing this, and that state statute reads like Mandarin Chinese stereo instructions. So, but for now, we're certainly not one of the only municipalities putting one of these in place, and I think we've got a pretty good framework to start.
Are there any questions?
To the marijuana that's prohibited?
It's destroyed.
Okay. Seeing no further questions or discussion, please read the roll.
Councilmember Reed?
Yes, you do.
Lawler?
Yes?
Spicer?
Yes.
Williamson?
No.
Clark?
No.
And Mayor Atchison?
Yes. Okay. Passed. Okay, next item, request approval resolution 2019-15 to approve a grant application for the Albion Street Bridge. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Discussion. You want to do
I might need
that?
Ms. Snyder to come explain this a little bit, but we've applied for a grant application for the 2022 year to replace the Albion Street Bridge. At this time, I don't believe there's a match for the city. And so that may change as some of our other grants do. Once it goes through the process, they may change that. I don't know exactly how this works in this project.
Yep. The Department of Transportation, they have an estimated $48 million in this budget to award to local communities for any replacement, rehabilitation, and improvements on bridges. And the North Albion Street Bridge is the only bridge in the city that has not been replaced, and it is in need of repairs and replacement. So the grant is for full replacement of the bridge, which is great. It would highlight the the bike trail that runs through, as well as look nice in Holland Park. A lot of work has gone into that, so we just ask for your
And be safe.
Yeah, yes, oh, yes.
Councilmember Reed.
Are they gonna do any of the street up from or down from
That is not, for this is just specifically to that bridge.
just the bridge?
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about, because right before you get to where you cross over the bridge, it's just really messy.
Yep.
That's why I'm,
It would probably expand out to the approaches to a degree, but just for us to be able to say how far that is, we're not sure, so.
I don't mean the whole street,
Right,
but
yeah.
I know a certain amount on both sides of that bridge.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. Could you tell me who wrote the grant?
I did.
Okay, good. Thank you.
What was the figure?
Councilmember Spicer.
What was the figure we were writing the grant for?
I don't have the exact, I just received the budget from our city engineer, so I don't have the exact amount, what it will cost to replace this. No, it's, but they have 48 million that they are awarding to,
Like 40 of that.
to local
Do we
communities.
have any idea what a bridge of that deterioration might?
I don't, I reviewed it today, but I should have brought that, but I can get that info to you.
Just wondering. Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Williamson.
I was going to ask, so I know the Albion Street Bridge is terrible. I'm really glad you're writing this grant. What is the next one behind it?
Well, they asked for a priority list, so we have that and as well as the Haven Street Road
Oh, okay,
Bridge.
good, thanks again.
But definitely, we're pushing.
Albion
for-
Street is
yes.
first. Oh, yeah, oh, absolutely.
I hope once they see the pictures, they will have no
That is
problem
scary.
approving.
Councilmember Reed.
If we need some major names on that, Senator Knopf, before the year that he left, we went down under that bridge and saw the deterioration. So he's been down there, Bison's been down there, Gary's been down there. We've all been down there under that bridge and saw what a mess it's in.
Oh, yes.
So you've got some really legitimate people who have.
Yes. Director Tracy, he was actually kind enough to go out and take the pictures for me, and when reviewing them, I was just shocked at what it looked like underneath the structure and just the structure walls, and the road itself it's pretty bad.
Do you want to add anything else?
I'd just like to thank Ms. Snyder for all the hard work that she put into this and writing the grant.
Thank you.
And Mr. Tracy for your photographic support.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Would you read the roll?
Councilmember Lawler,
Yes.
Spicer. Yes. Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Reed. Yes. And Mayor Atchison.
Aye. Yes. Okay. Next item, request approval of Resolution 2019-16 to approve the Albion Economic Development Corporation's Economic Development Strategic Plan. May I have a motion to approve the strategic plan for the EDC?
So moved.
Okay. Ms. DePreez, would you give us a brief overview?
Yes, this was put in your packet, so I'm assuming you've had time to read through it. So more than going through the plan, because this was presented last year too to all the boards and councils and council here, I'll go through why we had to do this a little bit to bring you up to date, which wasn't in your packet. You all know the redevelopment ready certification that we've been going through now for a couple years, and that we are close to being finally certified in this community. If we don't get certified, we no longer can get participation of incentives on projects for either community development block grant, the infrastructure capacity enhancement grants that we're doing for Irwin Street, those kinds of things. So it's critical that our community finishes this project or this process. So part of that was the rewrite of the comprehensive plan, and before we could start the economic development strategic plan, that comprehensive plan had to be done. We took that plan and kind of dissected down to what economic development really covered and built out the EDSP from there. There was a steering committee that was dedicated to this that represented city and council, DDA, Planning Commission, Albion College, ARC, several industry leaders throughout the community, the chamber, and then my team and myself. This past year, when we did a revision of it, that same steering committee got together with the exception of a few that needed to be replaced because of position changes. But we circulated and got feedback from many of the boards and councils throughout, and committees throughout the community. And then the EDC board approved the first plan in November of last year, of 2017. Last year is 2017 to me. I'm still in 2018 apparently. So 2018, we needed to do an annual update. At that time, they decided that the council needed to also approve the plan to be RRC certified. So we updated the plan very little, just mostly dates and stuff, and presented it to the board for approval. They approved it at the beginning of this month on the 4th, and we're seeking your approval now. If you looked at the comprehensive plan, there's several pieces of that coincide with the EDSP. The comprehensive plan talks about business growth, whether it be retention, attraction, entrepreneurship, workforce, reuse of property, neighborhoods, revitalization, and diversity of housing, downtown revitalization, attraction of commercial entities, and maintaining a robust nonprofit sector, balancing it out with the private sector, and corridor improvements, and gateways enhancement. So if you look through the EDSP on the 7 goals, those are repeated through the goals and through the strategies included within them. And then the economic development, because this is basically our strategic plan, we either claim the strategy as for ourselves to lead, we support it for another to lead, or we endorse it as whoever else is going to lead it, but it's not really within our wheelhouse, but we still think it's important. So I can go through any questions you might have on that plan. It's been published now for over a year, so I think many people have already had a chance to look at it, and then you've had it in your packet. So, you know, I'm happy to go through it at any level you want to.
I did have a question.
Councilmember Williamson.
So if you were to put a timeline, I'm sure that they're not easy timelines, but what is the deadline for getting certified redevelopment ready?
Depends on how fast you can do it. There's been communities that do it in a year.
Right.
Marshall did it in less than a year, but they had a dedicated person to do it the whole way. Ideally, we should have done it in 2 years. It's going to take us closer to 3.
Okay.
But we're close.
So we're in the kind of the final stretch.
We're in the final stretch. I think zoning is the biggest part. Reapproval of this. There's a marketing strategy that has to be done, but they're minor things. You know, zoning is the huge hold right now.
Okay. Further questions by council? Okay. Thank you. All right. Okay. All those in favor of approving the Economic Development Corporation's strategic plan, approving Resolution 2019-16, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it is approved. Item F, request approval of Resolution 2019-17 to approve $3,000 increase for fiscal year 2018 audit. You want to address that, or do you want to have Mr. Mead? Mr. Mead. Thank you, sir. Okay. Before you begin, may I have a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Seconded. Thank you. Mr. Mead.
Good evening, Council, Mayor. Tom Mead, Finance Director. If you recall, on February 19th at the council meeting, I stood here and asked for approval for the contract with our current audit firm, and the amount of the contract was $30,000. That's in line with what we have been charged for the most part throughout the years, with slight fluctuations. And I believe we discussed at the time, when you see bigger fluctuations in what we're charged, it's because of things that may occur during the year that may cause or result in us having to do a special type of audit. One of those is if you exceed $750,000 in federal revenue or grant dollars, that kicks you up into another category, and then it requires a federal audit, or an audit that has to be submitted to the federal government as well. And that, of course, like the year we got the fire truck, that put us in that threshold as $949,000 or whatever with federal money. So periodically over the years we hit that threshold. So on February 19th, when we talked about this. We had the contract for the current auditors, $30,000. At that time, we were at $471,000 of federal revenue. So things look pretty good that we probably were not going to hit 750. With Murphy's Law, how things can never be simple, about a week later, a little over a week later, whatever, on February 26th, we received a disbursement from, for some grant money disbursement of $617,000. Usually a rule of thumb, they'll look at about 60 days out from year end to decide whether they want to keep it in the current year or accrue it back in the prior year. This unfortunately fell, on February 26th, that's just short of 60 days out. And in addition to that, we'd sit down and discuss it with the auditors. They felt that because this was for work that was completed in 18, they really felt we needed to accrue that back into 2018, even though we didn't receive it until February 26th of 19, which again, unfortunately, was a week after we brought this to you before. So having said that, that put us over the $750,000 threshold. The auditor said, well, now we got to do the federal audit. They are charging us their standard fee for doing the single audit of $3,000. So everything in this new contract that's in your packet is exactly the same as before, except on page 7 of that contract, they added another item. We have $29,000 for the audit. Then, of course, the single audit of $3,000. They still do our Act 51 and F65 filing for us at the state for $1,000. So the total now, instead of being 30, it is now going to be 33,000. Hence the reason that I come before you and ask for the extra 3,000. And just to, in case you're wondering, because we sometimes have issues like this where, you don't always know exactly where you're going to end up, when we budgeted for this, to be conservative, we did budget in the 2019 budget, we budgeted $34,500. So we actually have $1,500 to play with. So, we're within budget, but because it's a contractual thing, we wanted to bring it to you to get approval.
Any questions by council? Thank you, Mr. Mead. It was a great explanation. Even I understood it. Would you please read the roll?
Councilmember Spicer,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Reed, Lawler,
Yes.
and Mayor Atchison.
Yes. Okay. Next item is discussion to change dates for council meetings from the first and third Mondays to the first and third Tuesdays of the month. The individuals that I've spoken with, which includes council members, our county commissioner, our city clerk, our city attorney, our acting city manager, and a variety of other folks. No one, and some of the members on council, no one has had a specific issue with it. Most have said that would actually make their life a little easier and work better. There is one conflict at this point, and I haven't got an answer back from the Planning Commission. They hold their meetings on the third Monday. No, I'll get it right. The third Tuesday of the month. Case in point, the meeting this month has been canceled because there were no agenda items. I'm going to suggest they look at moving their meetings either to the third Monday, one day earlier, or the second Tuesday of the month if Tuesday is the preferred date. And I don't have that answer back from them. So is there questions or other discussion, or people that know they have an objection or would prefer not to change the dates? Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a question. Is there anywhere in the charter or bylaws that says that we have to go through some type of process or voting process or ballot process to change these dates?
It's in our rules of procedure that specifies it's on, I believe that's correct.
So, okay, so there's an interesting, okay, so there's two places where the meetings are referenced in our charter. So one is 5.6A that says we have to have 2 regular meetings a month, and they occur in council chambers unless otherwise dictated by resolution. Obviously, it doesn't dictate days in that particular section. There's another section, 19.6, that says until otherwise provided by resolution, regular meetings are held on alternating Mondays. Now, that's obviously much more specific, but what's interesting about Chapter 19 was just an enabling chapter that basically said this chapter is only part of the charter for purposes of the transition from the old charter to the new charter. So it doesn't really apply beyond that point, but it's a good guide, certainly. It says that the dates can be changed by resolution. So the short answer to the question is it's a council decision. It's not something that's going to have to go to the voters. I will say that the Open Meetings Act requires that if you are going to change the regular meetings, that does have to be posted within 3 days of any change pursuant to MCL 15.265, and then that we've got that same language regarding the posting in Rule 4 of the council rules, which also provide regular meetings of the city council shall be held each month on the days prescribed by resolution. So council sets it by resolution.
Okay. So this is just a discussion. There's no decision here. And a couple of reasons why I was suggested we consider this, and if we decide, if the general consensus here is it's a reasonable idea, we can discuss it further. We have a work session set for Monday, the 29th of April. But one of the big reasons, to be honest, is Blues at the Bohm is the first Monday of every month, and there's other events that occur at the Bohm on Mondays. And by having our city council meeting on that first Monday, it precludes all of the city employees that are involved in this, the city clerk, fellow council representatives, from attending. And it's an event that Albion is promoting. Albion has every reason to be very proud of it. I think it's good for the city council to support local events in the community, and that's probably the biggest reason. Other reasons to consider is Mondays could be hectic when you come off of a weekend, and having a council meeting that evening obviously is something that's doable, but it does provide a little additional time if things have come up, other things have come up over the weekend that we're going to discuss for the city clerk and others to look at. So it's just something to think about, but I wanted to get what the general feeling is. And the biggest reason really is because there are other events, and it kind of limits the participation. It is something that the city stands behind, and I'd like to promote that. But so if there's any other comments, Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. Did any of the entities or people that you talked to, like from the Bohm Theater, were they willing to move their date or no?
I did not even discuss with them moving their date.
Just was a question.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you, and just let me, I agree with what Councilman Lawler said. I was going to say the exact same thing. Others might have considered moving their event or because I believe the council meetings have been this way historically forever. And I've heard people say, oh, I meant to come to the council meeting. When was it? So it's already difficult for people to keep track of when we meet. The first and third Monday, and it's been like that forever. And I think if we changed it, we would further confuse people. I'd like to see other entities probably try to accommodate us and change theirs. So that's just my personal opinion, and thank you.
Okay. Councilmember Williamson.
I just want to add that, kind of off of the entire discussion here, I think that we need to make sure when we're talking about this, we don't talk about this in relation to specific entities in the community or their events. I wouldn't want to create any undue stress or complications in the city's relationship with local entities in the community, no matter which way we decide to have our events. And again, I hope that we can just maximize whatever change is made, if there is any, that we maximize the representation here at the meeting and we keep it about our meeting and the city's business versus everyone else's event outside of here, just to not bring in any undue stress on those folks.
Okay. Councilmember Reed.
I agree with the change because of Blues at the Bone, because with the people that's coming here tonight, if it was Blues at the Bone, they could be there supporting that, which would support ours.
So I was, part of the idea is to make it available for more people to attend the council meetings. Okay. Okay. Next item, discussion of cell phones at council meetings. I would suggest, and this is a discussion, not a decision. We can, if there's general consensus, we can vote on it at a later meeting. But to not bring our cell phones in here, or if we want them, council members want them to have access to their calendars, if we can place them someplace, because there is the appearance at times, and I get emails and comments from folks that will wire people on their cell phones. So that's what the discussion's about. Open it up for comments by council, your feelings. Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. I just to put it out there, my mother has medical issues, so I would not support this. My granddaughter has medical issues, so I would not support this, and that will be the only reason why.
Okay. Any other comments?
I agree with that. Just because most people know that my dad passed away not too long ago, and I used my phone as a device to monitor him when he was at home. There was no other reason, no other malicious intent use for my phone. It was just something technical that is now available that was something for me to use. So, yeah, that's it.
Any other comments? Councilmember Williamson.
I appreciate everyone being so polite about this discussion. I want to recognize that this agenda item is on here because of some outcry about usage of their cell phone by a majority of the folks here are responsible with their usage of their cell phone. I'll say it in that way. The majority of the people sitting around this table this evening responsibly use their mobile devices and are good with it. I just think that this feels a little bit like fourth grade and the teacher's telling me to stop talking in class. And I think if you want to call someone out of order for violating the rules, then just do that. But I think this just makes us look a little more elementary school and not trying to do the city of the business of the city.
Any other comments? Okay. Next item, discussion and approval to pursue reimbursement from GovHR for breach of contract. Is there a motion? No motion. Therefore, we'll move on to the next item. I'm sorry, Councilmember Reed, did you have a comment?
No.
Okay. All right. Discussion, approval, utilize GovHR guarantee clause for recruitment service for other department head level positions. May I have a motion? Okay. We'll move on to the next item. Discussion of the tree dump. Mr. Phillips.
Good evening. Well, as you know, the state came in and did an inspection recently of our beloved tree dump. And while we like to call it tree dump, it is classified as a mulch center. I think we've discussed this a little bit. And it kind of puts us in a predicament as to what do we do with all of the leaves and everything that we have. What we basically have said at this point is Granger provides a leaf and yard waste pickup. You're allowed 6 bags in your front yard and a can or bin clearly marked as yard waste. So far, I think that's been working. We haven't been inundated with calls. We haven't been inundated with people with trailers of leaves looking to dump them. Yes, it is inconvenient, but it is where we are. So moving forward, there's probably about 10,000 cubic yards of waste down there that we need to get rid of. And then from that point on, there's a possibility that we're looking at, one of the companies is looking to create a closer regional zone to dump yard waste, that we could have citizens bring it to us. We could truck it over to a place over by I-69. It'd be about a 20-minute ride with the dump truck that we have. Other than that, we would still be collecting trees and limb debris, woody material, but that would be the extent of what we can do at the tree dump, unless we wanted to run it as a mulching center. And if we did that, we'd probably be looking at equipment costs and an additional staff person to basically run that and keep it at the standard that it needs to be kept at. It would be very cost prohibitive to do. So I don't know if there's any questions or concerns, comments.
Councilmember Lawler.
Thank you, Mayor. So, you're suggesting that, we use a service instead of hiring. Is that like a money saver for us?
Well, as far as Granger having the leaf pickup or the yard waste pickup as we have now,
Well, I know that Granger does pick it up, but they only allow like 6 bags a week. So,
Right.
And I'm speaking from from my parents have a big yard. So my father rakes
You're gonna have
leaves
100 bags.
every day, every other day. So, but I just say that to say, I know we need to do something. I know only 6 bags are allowed, and if we could save by having to bring it wherever you would designate us to do, and you take it where it's supposed to go, will that save us money more than just hiring someone?
haven't really, in all honesty, we haven't really done a cost analysis or cost breakdown on that. Right now, the closest place that we can go is Diamonddale with all of the material. With the amount of yard waste that we have, you're basically talking a semi-truck and dump trailer to move everything once or twice a month. As opposed to creating a place for the windrows that are required, the temperature, the nitrogen and carbon analysis, the temperature testing and everything else. I can't answer that right now. We're studying it. We're looking into it because we do have to provide an answer back to the state as to what our plans are.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But you got to realize too that when we run a mulching center, we have to have the equipment and the personnel, but 75% of what comes in has to roll out every 3 years. So if we do become a mulching center, we have to run it as a mulching center and screen that product and have finished mulch product that then gets sent back out to the community or used in some way, shape, or form, because it must leave the tree dump or the mulch center.
Okay.
Councilmember Reed, do you have a question?
Yes. Okay, so if you put out more bags, they charge you, did you say $8 a bag? No.
2. It's only 2.
It's only
$2 an extra bag.
Oh, because I didn't think it was but a couple dollars a bag, extra bag.
And I don't have an answer for you on that either.
Okay, could we check that?
Yeah.
I know that there's a lot of people who don't
Exactly.
at all. And
Well, what
so
I would,
if we could get a reasonable rate for anything over the 3 bags, that would be helpful. It's 6.
okay, it's 6, yeah. But, the other thing too is talking, and I haven't talked with Granger yet, to say, let's look at a citywide average of bags because there is, one homeowner will put out 25, but no one else an entire road will put out any. Maybe we can talk with Granger and kind of come up with a solution for this that would be beneficial for all of us.
But you said you are studying it, what it would cost for the equipment, what the turnover would be, how much mulch would be produced, what that typically sells for per bag. I mean, it'd be hard for us to make any kind of decision without more information, and you're pulling that together.
Right.
But I really
We're-
appreciate you offering to get hold of Granger. I think that sounds like a good solution, a citywide average. Councilmember Williamson?
I had a quick question, Mr. Phillips. When is the waste, the garbage service and curb pickup contract up for renewal?
Next year.
Yes, in
2020.
2020?
2020.
2020, oh, okay. It might be a good idea for Granger to look at what they can do for the leaf pickup with the yard waste bags.
Councilmember?
So if we use it as a mulch center, currently right now in the parks and play areas, do we use our own trees or limbs or whatever to grind to put back in, or do we pay for that to be brought in?
We actually pay for that to be brought in because it's not, it's usually a cypress type of mulch. It's very water absorbent. What we typically have for any tree clippings or shredding is usually a maple or pine. So the kids are going to roll around in that and come up with pine sap all over them, and that's not going to make anybody happy. And then the maple and the oak and everything else that we shred, it's very hard wood. So it's not really playground friendly.
Okay.
Now, it's not bad for around shrubs and that type of thing, but it still isn't, it's not finished mulch. To have finished mulch, it has to go through a heating process and a breakdown process and everything else. So it tends to smell bad, and it tends to collect water completely differently than the mulch that's sold.
Okay, thank you.
Okay?
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Phillips.
Sure. We'll keep working on it. We definitely will.
All right, discussion of citywide cleanup dates, and so if you want to address what those dates are for the citywide cleanup, I believe it's in July, but.
It is. We have looked at, I know there's been some concerns of trying to move this up. We have been working with Sarah Kelly, who is the recycling coordinator for the Calhoun County. She's offered a couple of different dates, and there always seems to be a conflict of not having all of the recyclers available, not having the contractors available that are necessary for tires, for batteries, for household chemicals. We are scheduled for July 27th and have been scheduled for that annually for as long as I can remember. If you would like for me to work with Sarah Kelly to change that date, I would be more than happy to do that. She would be more than happy to do that. We would just need more advance notice, and yeah, we just need to start planning on that now. If council wants to set a date and say we want to do it and we would like to do it in June, or we would like to do it in May, we'll work with Sarah and do what we can to make that happen.
For next year?
For next year. Pardon me?
Could we shoot for June next year?
Why don't we put that on our list of things we're going to talk about, goals and whatnot, on the end of the month, on the 29th?
Yeah, and
then we can settle on a date, and then we'll get back with you on that.
And she's more than workable with all of it. And we could do a cleanup, but it doesn't include all of the recycling that we would want to do with the electronics and batteries and household chemicals and paints and tires and everything else. And she does a lot of work to line all of that up for us, and all of those contractors and vendors are there then. Okay?
So there are designated locations that the residents bring their items to? Are there curbside pickup as part of that?
No, it's designated areas. It's been at Ketchum Park and then also Harrisfield at those parking lots. Yep. Okay.
Okay, discussion on clarification of legal representation for city boards and commissions. I'm not sure who put that on the agenda. Was it? Okay.
Well, why don't I take that?
There you go, why don't you? It is legal.
So this actually came up during a conference call with the Albion Building Authority, in that under the city's charter, under the section that as it relates to the city attorney, it provides that the attorney is the attorney for the several boards of the city, which I have absolutely no problem with whatsoever. Where it becomes tricky, though, is when, as the council's aware, when I say the city, I mean the main body of the city often enters into agreements with the sub-bodies, whether it be the ABA or the EDC or the DDA or whatever. So the position that creates is, if I'm looking at an agreement as a city attorney, whose interests am I representing? Am I representing the city, or am I representing the subordinate city board? Whose interests am I looking out for? So that's kind of the thing I've been wrestling with. In some cases, the subordinate boards have gone out and gotten their own counsel. So what I would propose I think, which would largely rectify that issue, is the Michigan Rules of Professional Conduct for attorneys allow for a conflict waiver. Basically, the city, through the council, would waive that conflict of interest. The subordinate boards would likewise waive that conflict of interest, and that would basically alleviate that problem. The exception to that would be for the boards or commissions or authorities that have the ability to initiate litigation with the city. In the event that they were to initiate litigation with the city, I would represent the city, not the subordinate board. Make sense? Question? So what I'll do is I'll prepare conflict waivers. I'll probably just do one for the city and then some kind of a template for the subordinate boards, and we'll let the subordinate boards decide what they want to do.
Okay. Thank you. Next item, request approval to send out a request for proposal for street sweeping.
Okay, going back to cleanup. As you know, our curbs are a mess. We got the street sweeper out last week and made it 100 yards and had to have it towed back to the garage. So it didn't go very well. We're looking into a number of different things. One is to basically repair a 2001 Pelican with 11,616 hours, 48,000 miles on it. Somewhere around $3,000 is what it would take to bring up a street sweeper that isn't really made to do what we're doing with it. I don't know if any of you have ever followed that street sweeper when it goes along the curb. It just doesn't really do a very good job. There's a lot left and there's a lot to be desired. End up having to hit it twice. It costs us approximately $25,000 to make 2 passes per summer. And that's basically one guy working on that street sweeper full time with the breakdowns. Depending on what breaks down, that cost could be greater than that. So what we're trying to do and what we're asking for is to put out a request for a proposal for at least 1, if not 2, beginning of the season and end of the season street sweeping, where a company comes in and actually does that for us with 3 or 4 back trucks. They go through town in 3 or 4 days, and then it's all done. Like I said, it takes us all summer to make 2 passes through town right now. I think it would be better for the city. I think the city would look a lot better if we could do that. We've looked at the cost of doing that. I think we're talking about $30,000 a pass. I will have to, and that's the reason to put out the request for the proposals, is to find out what we can really do that for. We've talked to a couple of different companies, but that's the ballpark figure of a complete pass through town. We have 54 miles, so double that with curbs. We have basically 108 miles that these trucks have to go through and clean. They would use vac trucks, which would pull up a lot of the stones that get thrown up into people's yards and all kinds of things that would get cleaned up. We would still be responsible at that point to take care of the trash that is picked up. And we'll have to work on, because we can pay them to take it, which would be incredibly cost prohibitive, or we could work it in with Granger as we're looking at this. I saw you kind of squint on me. So I would just like to ask council for the approval to put out that request to see what we can come up with. Of course, we can always refuse any proposal that we get back. So it just gives us an opportunity to take a look at getting the city cleaned up.
Okay, so just to make sure I understood what you just told us, we have one or we have two street sweepers, and the one didn't make it, and it's about $3,000 to fix. Is there another one that's also?
No, we only have the one.
Okay.
We have the one.
So it's $3,000 to fix, and it's not really cut out to do the job, but $3,000 to fix. And did you say it's approximately $25,000 a year to make 2 passes?
Yes.
Okay, if we do it ourselves with our
We
equipment.
do it ourselves with what we currently have.
And you want to go out and get a request for proposals, and you're guesstimating that the proposals that are going to come back are going to roughly be $30,000 per pass.
That's roughly where it would end up being, we think.
Okay, so.
Now go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm making sure I'm following you here, that if we fix the truck and do what we've done in the past, twice a year, it's going to be about $30,000, $25,000, and that includes getting rid of the debris.
No.
Okay.
Because right now that goes to our beloved tree dump, and that can't go there anymore either.
Okay.
That has to go into a dumpster and be landfilled.
Okay, so we can go from 25 to 60,000. If we do it ourselves, fix our equipment, do it ourselves, it's 25,000 plus some additional charge to transport the stuff. And if we get a contract, you're anticipating it's going to come in to do the same level of work at around 60? Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's our hope. And that puts us in a 3 or 4 day window of time to have it all clean versus having it clean throughout the summer as we do now, just one area at a time.
Okay, and the cost for new equipment, a new truck?
A new Vector truck that has the vacuum and sweeping mode to it, used 2007 was around $105,000. To go new, you're talking closer to $240,000. I would highly recommend that we go with some sort of a vacuum attachment truck that also has the vac on the back side of it for storm drain cleaning. Right now, we have to use our if we do our storm drains, we have to use our $275,000 sewer vac truck, which can be used, but that puts additional wear and tear on that truck that we really don't want to have. It's not made to pull the debris out of storm sewers. That's not its purpose. This type of Vector has a hose attachment on the back that storms could be sucked right out of, and it's made specifically for that type of purpose.
And the one that we have that's broke down is a circa 2001. Did the city buy it new or used? Do you know?
I don't know. I'm pretty sure we bought it used at that time.
All right. Other questions by council? Councilmember Williamson.
If we were to contract out, would that represent a loss of a job in the public works area?
It would not. It would basically, what we'd be looking at doing is freeing that person up to do the multitude of tasks that are left available. Actually, if we have one person that's on that truck 8 hours a day all summer long, we lose that worker. We would like to have them back.
Also, if we were to do an RFP and you were going to recommend that we take action on this, would it be possible alongside those presentations to have the budget analysis for how that looks to budget? Because I think what I'm sensing is that there's some nervousness about possibly spending more money than what we do. on street sweeping and cleaning. But I think we also need to see the net value and benefit to making sure that if we do a contracted service, that we're actually gonna get better, results if we pay a little, if we have to pay more money. So I would like to see a budget analysis next to the, bids when they come in, just to know that we're making a really informed decision, especially if we
Absolutely.
decide to spend more money.
Yep, absolutely.
Is there any place that you can write grants to get money for things like that?
I'm sorry.
I said, is there any place that you can write grants to get money for things like that?
Not that I know of. I mean, I can't say that there's not, because you can write a grant for almost anything. So it's something that we can look at and seeing what we can come up with for help in purchasing a vacuum type of system that would be much more beneficial to us.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. So this request for proposal, I am assuming is going to be received and then presented to council. It's going to be anticipated to be budgeted for the next budget year. Am I correct in assuming that?
That would be the hope, that we get a plan put together that makes sense and something we can move forward with. It still leaves us with our problem of the city as it sits right now. If our sweeper isn't going to be able to do more than the main street or a couple of streets, major streets, what are we going to do with the rest of it? I guess that's the problem, and I would say that if it comes back fair and we can do the analysis, at some point this summer, it would be nice to have a company come in and run through the entire town in a couple of days.
So will we have monies in the fund for that? If we
I think we'd have to do, probably not. I mean, no, it wouldn't be budgeted money that we would have budgeted for anything like that. It would have to be a request to say, okay, what do we want to do? How do you want me to proceed in getting it cleaned up? And we'd have to go to fund balance or something like that.
Either that or limp along and use what we have. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the cartoon with the push cart and the big push broom and the shovel. We could do it.
Okay, I guess we'll decide when we see the figures. Thank you.
Councilmember Williamson.
There is some budget cost savings at the moment because we're not actually running the machine, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
So if we had to do a sweeping service in the year, it would not cost the full. It wouldn't be as big of an adjustment this year as it might be in future years. Because we're saving some money.
You're correct, yes. There is
saving
some.
money, but we have dirty streets.
Because we're not doing, we are saving from not doing, yes. And that could be applied.
Thank you.
So when you come back with the proposal, if you would also let us know what currently used equipment goes for, so we can look at that and say, okay, that would be this expense, calculate it out over, it makes the most sense to do A or B.
Right.
Or C.
Okay. And having several proposals would be my thought on the matter as well.
Okay. Thank you.
So we will put that out then as a request for proposal.
We have to say here and here.
Okay.
It's just a request.
So,
Anybody want to make a motion to authorize an RFP, request for proposal? Would you like to make a motion for the city to go out with a request for proposal for contracting street sweeping services?
So move.
Yes.
Okay? All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, future agenda items. Okay. Public comments. Persons addressing city council, please limit your comments to no more than 3 minutes. Proper decorum is required.
Hello, my name is Rose Chapman, and I live at 412 Lombard Street here in Albion. And the reason I'm here is I'd like to address our, I guess, the water bill. How we get a water bill that says, you know, if you're late, you're going to pay this late fee. And then if you still don't have it paid by a certain time, you get this orange thing on your door that says you're going to be charged a $60 fee also. And I guess my complaint is if it's not paid by 5 o'clock on that date, they charge you that $60. Well, I understand that everybody has rules, regulations, and that they have cutoff dates, but there's also people who are on limited incomes, and that I know that's not everybody's problem, it's just that person's problem, but $60, where is that $60 going to, and why are they charging $60? I mean, that's what I'd like to know, because you know, I know that I paid my bill, and I'm here because I'm upset because I was told that I'm going to have to pay this $60. It's going to be added on to my next month bill. And I'm, you know, for the benefit of the people that are on limited incomes and the elderly and whatever, I'd like to know where the $60 goes and why they charge an extra $60. Why don't they just say, your late fee is going to be $60 plus the $14 or $15 they charge you here too. That's my concern.
We will get you an answer,
All right. Thank
an
you.
explanation for you.
Thank you for listening to me, Mayor and Council.
You're welcome. Are there other public comments this evening? Right before this?
Austin Thielman, 101 North Berrien Street. Good evening, council, those of you watching at home, and those of you in the audience tonight. For those of you I haven't met, hello. I'm serving with AmeriCorps Vista here in town at the Albion Economic Development Corporation. I'm excited to announce that the EDC is going to be hosting a job fair on Wednesday, May 15th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I can't get the word out alone. I appreciate any and all help. Tell your friends, neighbors, family, anybody you can really think of. More details will be coming soon. Stay tuned to the EDC's Facebook page. I'll put updates on there as we get more. Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel Farmer, 1101 Wiener Drive. I just want to say I'm very, very thankful that you guys are coming together on the street sweeping. It's something we desperately need. If we don't handle it now, it's going to really bite us in a couple years, really. I wanted to ask if we do this, is there any way we can look at buying a new one of our own, because it's $200 and some odd thousand, and sharing that with Concord, Springport, Homer, Marshall. I'm sure they might be in a similar situation with older equipment that's not doing a good job. Maybe we can look away at sharing or buying our own equipment, and maybe it's really cheap to have someone come in and run it for those 2 times a year. Maybe it'll be, you know, $10,000 twice a year with our own equipment. You know, it's something we can look at to maybe make it a better situation. And the reason I come here tonight is I've been having problems reaching my councilwoman. She's not returning my calls. I have filed a formal complaint, and I have also filed a recall. Please get in contact with me if anybody has any questions about that or would like to participate. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Are there further public comments this evening?
Really quickly, Garrett Brown, 1016 South Superior. I want to just thank council. I don't say it a lot, but thank you for the great questions tonight. Was awesome. And then 2 things. There was a resident, I believe in Precinct 1, First Street, when I was canvassing last year, Corinthia Cook, and she made a really good, you're talking about meeting dates, but she said, you know, I never can make the council meetings because of my work schedule. So would the council consider maybe like a quarterly, like Saturday meeting or something at the, she put it out there. But I thought at the time it was a really interesting thing. It'd be a quarterly thing just to say, for people who have schedules that can't make during the week, that might be helpful, even if it's at the Charles Snyder. And then, I'm just saying it because the previous comment, some way in the community, we're going to have to find a way to get beyond the back and forth, because what ends up happening is, what I've learned, a political principle is, what goes around comes around, right? So if we play the recall thing because someone doesn't return a phone call, or we don't like someone's vote on something, at a certain point, it creates just a climate in the community, right? Because some offices will be up for recall on June 3rd or December 3rd of this year, and it starts a whole cycle. So I think as a community, we really have to kind of sit down and not jump from 0 to 100 if we feel slighted, because obviously everyone on the council here, they have personal lives and things going on, and so I just think that as a community, we have got to get a hold of ourselves and stop with the back and forth, because what's going to happen is it really doesn't play out well for the community or us personally, going forward. So hopefully that can be worked out. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Betty Branch, and I live at 408 Washington Street. What I would like to say is that I would like to see all of these signs. They were up for people that were out for election. Please take your signs up. There's some on Jefferson Street. There's some on all sides of town. So please take a look. There's still some brown signs and a few other ones out there. Please collect your signs. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, council, residents watching and in attendance.
Good evening.
I'm Devin Parker, a AmeriCorps Vista member serving the city of Albion. I'm coming before you this evening because something that happened with last year's cohort of Vistas is that the Vista who was with the city worked on bringing forth the Resolution 2018-10 to help establish NPCs, neighborhood planning councils here in the city of Albion. And pretty much what I'm coming before you to say is that I'm kind of picking up where that Vista left off. And my pilot precincts are going to be 1 and 2. So I'm just coming before the council and everyone watching and those in attendance to put it on their radar, to let them know that this is something that's being worked on in the city. I'm not sure what they used in year 2, but I've been in contact with some of the residents of Battle Creek to kind of see how their model works for NPCs. We're a different city, different size, different needs and whatnot. So this is something, like I said, that I decided to take on. So like I said, NPC for precincts 1 and 2 are going to be kind of the pilot program. So what that's going to consist of is first finding a convenient meeting place for those to take place, and for any citizens in those precincts who are interested in being involved with this to contact me. There is a Vista office in the Ludington at 101 Superior. So there's a Vista office there. So if you have any concerns, you can stop by there to get my information, to reach out to me. And I'll also be leaving cards with all the council members. So they'll also have my contact information. So if anyone in those precincts want to be involved with the NPCs, they can contact me. So at this point, we're just trying to get the word out and see any concerned citizens that want to be involved that could come and be a part of the NPCs for the city.
your contact information, or how should people get a hold of you if they want to participate?
Well, I do have cards. Like I said, I'll leave with the council members. Better than me trying to dictate it out right now, but yeah. So, thank you for your time.
All right. Additional public comments?
Good evening, council and everybody at home. You not only got to hear one Vista, you got to hear 3 tonight. So, I'm Emily Smith, and I'm actually the Vista here at City Hall. So if you need to get a hold of Devin, you can get a hold of him through me, and we can make sure you get the information. One of my projects, we're definitely going the S Squared project. It is well underway. I think we're in 2 months, and we've got 1 month left. It is the signage and sidewalk assessment. And I know that there's been some issues with it, but this is a learning process, so bear with me. If there are issues with like the app or anything like that, the Survey 123 is a great app from Esri that we can utilize. And there's some bugs with it, but let's work through it together. This is a great project that we can come together as a community. On Saturday, we actually, for part of Global Youth Service Day, we were in Councilwoman Lawler's precinct. And she was great. We went around, and I think she had a good time. We did. And we're able to actually get the stuff reported. So one of the things that we kind of implemented on Saturday were like individualized paper versions. I cannot stress enough that I would love, 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 love to get a digital version or a picture with an address or something like that. But I know tech isn't everybody's cup of tea. So in the next couple days, I have an individualized precinct map that I'm going to email to each of you, and we can get this going because I want to get a strategy going for each precinct because I know they're all a little different. And this is a learning opportunity that in the future we can potentially use the same technology and help advance our city. So like I've kind of said, you can open it through a web browser or the Survey 123 app. If you have any issues with that, let me know because I want to learn this and I want to get any kinks and bugs worked out of it that I can. And then you can also, we have a Facebook page, which is Albion S Squared Sidewalk and Signage Assessment. Go there, the link is also there. You can also send a message through the page that I will go to. I had some great responses from citizens that were like, hey, we needed Quarter Street specifically. And I am more than willing to go out and get that. Just tell me where I need to go. I've actually really enjoyed kind of walking the city and getting to know these really unique places that we have here. And then there's always my email, esmith@cityofalbionmi.gov. Feel free to shoot me an email. At least put a location with the pictures. If you're not sending me a map, a location would be great. And then I'm in City Hall, stop by. I'm usually here. If I'm not, send me a note. I'll make sure I'm here for you. So among the other great work that Vistas are doing, please support this project, and it'll be great to work with you. Thank you.
Thank you. County Commissioner Tompkins. Oh.
You go ahead. Here,
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me. I don't have much voice, but we'll try this. I'm Levada Weeks, 917 Luther Drive. I just have one question. While my precinct person is out, if I need to contact someone in my precinct, where do I go?
Well, I'm everybody's council representative, so you can contact me or city manager.
I didn't know how long Sonia was going to be out. I just wondered if there was someone that we could contact if we needed to.
And now, without further ado, our county commissioner.
Thank you, Mayor.
Wild guess, it's happening in the 7th.
That's right, exactly. You know it.
Thank you, sir.
You must follow me. Exactly. Mr. Mayor, council members, Chief Kip, Clerk Domingo, residents of the city of Albion, and folks watching on TV this evening. Good evening. Gary Tompkins, your county commissioner. It's always great to be with you folks as much as I do. I will be relatively very brief this evening, and unfortunately I did break the Vista streak here, so I don't know how I live up to you guys. You guys do all kinds of great stuff, so keep doing the great stuff. This past Tuesday at our county commissioners meeting, we had our one and only county commission meeting this month as we conducted our annual equalization meeting for the year. where we establish property tax bases for Calhoun County and other taxing entities located within in the county boundaries. Overall, Calhoun County saw a 2.9% increase actually in taxable values and 3.8% in assessed values. And I would tell you, Albion, but I'm going to have you in suspense because subscribe to my newsletter and I'll let you know more about it. But I will tell you, yes, but I will tell you, you guys got a lot of positive information this year, a lot of positive gains this year. So I will be bringing that to you at the next city council meeting. But until then, if you'd like to subscribe to my newsletter, certainly please feel free to do so as well. So just a little catch there as well. And then finally, I'll be real quickly, my survey. Some of you did have it. It's been unveiled. It's out there. It's a way to have your voice heard. There's many things going on coming down the pipeline in the county, from to trails to transportation, which I think you folks talked about today. Any of the information that I get on my transportation information will be passed on to the transit people as well. I've already talked to them about it, as well as other things as well, parks and recreation, but just an opportunity for you to just voice your opinion on anything and everything that you'd want to voice it on. It's totally anonymous. If you'd like one, I've got a bunch here. Please pass them out to people. Have them when they see me around. I'm always accessible, as you guys well know, in the city of Albion. So again, it's a great opportunity for you to know. It's for you to express your opinion. Plus, I don't know, sometimes you got to be careful what you ask for, because I actually get to grade me in this too as well. So hopefully I can live up to your expectations, and anything I can do better to serve you folks, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to advocate on your behalf. So if you'd like to, like I said, I've got some available, and thank you, Mrs. Branch, for getting yours completed. I do appreciate that as well. So anything, with that being said, it's always great to be with you folks each and every month. All right? If there's no other questions or no questions, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good. All right. Now for the highlight of the evening, our city manager's report.
More of a public safety report on this one, but about a week ago, the mayor and myself and some other staff members met with MDOT and Amtrak, referenced some safety and security needs for the railroad. I don't know if many people know this, but the railroad actually owns all of the property within 100 feet of the center of the railroad, so 50 feet each side of that. That includes intersections and every part of that. The railroads were here first, and they own the property. So we actually have to get permission to put our roads across the railroads. So within the next few months, you're going to see Amtrak trains probably traveling through Albion a little bit faster than the 25 miles an hour that they're traveling currently. The slowest area that they have for the city of Albion is the curve near Hannah Street, which is a maximum speed of 60 miles an hour. So you may see trains traveling through Albion up towards maybe 60 miles an hour. So they've asked us to to bring to light safety issues when it comes to the railroad, to raise awareness about it. If you are in the railroad property, which is 50 feet either side of the track, you are technically trespassing if you are walking or traveling in that area. So we are requesting that all citizens please do not travel along the railroads within 50 feet of the railroads. We're working on possibly more fencing in certain areas that we have more issues with, but you are actually trespassing anytime you cross the railroad tracks at an area that is not an approved crossing. The other thing I had to mention was our public services department did a tremendous job in cleaning up the spring at Victory Park and did a lot of work to beautify that area. And so I encourage everyone to go down there and take a look at it and thank them for the wonderful work that they've done.
Okay. Questions by council on the city manager's report? Okay.
Yeah. So could you explain again, just one more time, so I can hear this again, why trains are going to be possibly going 50 to 60 miles per hour during?
People want to get to Chicago faster than they are currently.
And Detroit?
No. Well, okay, laugh. I'm just.
No, but that's that's the reason.
The railroad tracks run right through the college. They run right through 6. They run right here by downtown. They run all the way out to 1.
There's been a tremendous amount of work done in the last 5 years on the railroad, which includes putting up gated crossings at all crossings, and improving the track so it can handle the speeds. They didn't say officially they would be traveling at 60 miles an hour, but they did assure us it would be faster than 25.
So cars and pedestrians, beware. Are they going to mark the street where people walk up and stand if a train is going by? or for cars?
They said generally they do not do that.
They do not.
No, and what did they call it? The
Positive train control?
Positive train control, which just actually went into effect this last week, I believe. And so they now have positive train control on all the Amtrak trains. What exactly that means, I'm not sure, but. Right, but in other words, they have control of the trains from other than on the train itself, I believe is what they're saying.
Right. Okay. Every time there's a derailment anywhere here in the country, they look to see, and they have to answer, why haven't you implemented that feature up to this point? Because that keeps things, makes it much safer. The baseline answer is, why are they going to go faster? To put it in blunt terms, because they can, it's their track. They have the authority to just do it. They have sat down with the city, including the college, because of the same concerns you just raised. And they're not just walking in the door and saying, hey, this is what we're going to do, whether you like it or not. So there is a dialogue. They're working with the city, the college, to do this in a safe fashion. They have made changes throughout the country, and one of the changes that they made last year through a section, pardon me, is they did, by implementing that, they reduced the travel time between Chicago and Detroit by 20 minutes. That's not inconsequential. I apologize, by 30 minutes, and by implementing this, it's going to go up another 15 minutes or so, or shorten. The time's going to get shorter. So this is good for train travel, for commuter travel. They're also agreed to look at possibly changing the times to make it more suitable to increase train travel usage through Albion, people being able to use that for a variety of things. The times aren't the greatest now when you try to plan a trip, so they're looking at that. They are attempting to work with the city, but they will be going faster. Okay. Thanks, Chief. Mayor and council member comments. Council member Spicer.
You first? Go ahead. She was up before.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a few things. I was out this past weekend doing the signage and sidewalk with the Vistas and a couple of the Boy Scouts and a couple of volunteers. It was awesome, and I want to thank everyone for helping with 4th Precinct to get that project done. I have a summer project. I try to do one every year for my precinct, and this summer, one of my projects is going to be, I will start this weekend to do a cleanup of the sewers. When I was out this weekend, the sewers were bagged up with leaves and debris and things like that. I won't be out doing the whole street, just cleaning and clearing the way of the gutters so that the water has somewhere to drain. If there's somebody out there that would like to help me, that's fine. If not, I will definitely do it myself. This is something that I'm doing myself. The city has nothing to do with it. It's just me being courteous and looking out for the 4th Precinct. And I do look forward to doing the 4th newsletter, so I'll be doing that this summer also. The job fair on the 15th from the EDC, are we able to also put that on our city page, if you don't mind? A lot of people do look at the city website. And a concern was brought to me in precinct 1, 2, and 3. The Vistas, and if I'm wrong, just help me out with it, anybody. They help with poverty areas. And am I correct? It's 3 of you guys here. Okay. So I say that to say this. They would like to know why they haven't saw any Vistas in their area. To attack the poverty area, they feel that you should be in the poverty areas and talking with them about what their concerns are and what their needs are. I talked to Miss Asia Melton. I think she works with a community action agency, and she has she works with a lot of the people that are in poverty right now, and so she's wondering why she doesn't have a Vista there. residents from Precinct 1, and I don't mean to take over, it's no disrespect or anything, I'm just saying what came to me. Why isn't there a vista with the Housing Commission? You know, to see what actually goes on and out there talking to the people that lives in those areas, 1, 2, and 3. You know, Oak Meadows is included. And so I'm just bringing the word out in the open. No disrespect for crossing over. I'm just letting you know that these are concerns of some citizens. My priority is my precinct, but I also serve the community as a whole. So thank you for that. I'm finished.
Councilmember Spicer.
Thank you. Well, actually, it would be a problem not to have this phone, because what I actually have to say was because I received an email, and I don't want to misquote the person or misspeak, but there is apparently a problem with barking dogs, and I don't know if we have an ordinance in that regard. Maybe Chief, I don't want to say expound on that. But there's a problem with barking dogs in Precinct 5, as well as dogs off leash near the bus stop on Berrien and Booth Drive. And actually, I received an email last night late. I saw this morning, and then I received a phone call this afternoon, late morning, as well, about a lady who had taken her children to the bus stop. 2 big dogs were running unleashed, no owner around, and so there is a serious concern with dogs running off leash. And I don't know what can be done about it, but I did talk to your assistant, Carisha, today. I don't know if she shared that with you. The ordinance that she sent me, she didn't send it in a PD file, so I do need that in a PDF. But maybe we can address that some kind of way, get some ordinance, and you could speak to what our ordinance is about dogs off leash, roaming free, and what people should do when they see dogs, big ones that they're scared of and off leash and things like that. So you want to address that now, you can, or you can save it for later. Because I do have one other
You can have a
point.
go at that one.
Okay.
So, for both your concerns, we have ordinances for both. One, we have basically what I'll just refer to as an excessive barking ordinance. And that is the owner of the animal can be cited, and it is a civil infraction. We also have a animal at large ordinance that basically any animal can't be off the leash, applies to dogs, cats, things of that nature, and that one is actually, I believe that one is a misdemeanor. So we do have both of those ordinances.
Well, can you email those to me, would you please?
Sure. Yep.
They get them.
And if anybody has issues with those, all they have to do is call dispatch and have officers come out and take care of that.
So the first thing I was told is that they do have to call 911, is that right?
Well, or the business line.
And then you will send an officer out to.
Yep.
Okay. For those dogs that are constantly at the same spot at the same time, that's a.
Yep, absolutely.
That's a remedy, but for those that are just running around on leash at a bus stop and they don't regularly show up, they might show out of the blue, they should just call 911.
Just call it, yep.
Okay, thank you for that. And I wanted to mention, the mayor had mentioned, I think at our last meeting, as to when we were planning to meet with our constituents, and I said that I had some plan to do that. I didn't address it because I didn't know at the time, but I've done yearly, since I've been on council, precinct meetings, and one in 2017, 18, and now 19. This year will be May 16th for Precinct 5. I will be getting flyers out to those residents in Precinct 5. The plan is to have it at the Marshall Opportunity High School at 6 p.m. Hasn't yet been confirmed, but that is so that residents in Precinct 5 can get their schedules accordingly, address their schedules accordingly. I'm looking at May 16th, 6 p.m., and flyers will be distributed in that precinct. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Councilmember Clark.
It was brought to my attention, and I did speak with Lynn about it before I was going to discuss it this evening. Downtown, there has been a couple agencies that have been conducting business for quite some time down there, and with the new changes that we're making as far as the apartments and trying to be business owners, they're being asked to be moved and to relocate. So the concern is from some of the people in the city that have learned about this is why is these community agencies being asked to be moved from downtown? What harm are they doing? And why do they have to relocate just because we're bringing more businesses in and things of that nature? What harm is it? Is it there's a feel of they feel like they're not a part of the community because of the population that is coming there or that is visiting there, and that they're being asked to be moved. So I think that needs to be addressed.
What are the agencies that have been asked to move?
I know that Michigan Works was in the Ludington building at one time, and there's another community service that's in that building that are now being asked to be relocated when they were asked to be moved from Albion Street to downtown, and now they're being asked to be relocated.
So one of them was Michigan Work. You don't recall off the top of your head what the other agency was?
No, but
Okay.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
There's some other reasons why I can't address that.
Okay. Councilmember Reed.
One thing, on June 15th, we're going to be celebrating Juneteenth, and we're in the process. We've got it going pretty good on that, and if you watch the paper, about the second week in May, it'll have the total lineup for Juneteenth. And the next thing is, I did not hear you ask for future agenda items, because I would like letter H put on for next Monday night's discussion. I had some things that I was looking up for that, and some other things that I want to discuss with that. That was the discussion about reimbursement from HR. So if we could put that on for our study session.
Okay.
And when Councilman Lawler was talking about the people in Devon had talked to me back a while back. He was trying to make arrangements to meet with the people in and have a meeting about the things that Vista was able to do, but he was stopped by the city manager. So therefore, he did not get that finished. So that's one of the reasons why Vista has not been showing up in that, because we had that discussion about it. So, just so.
City Attorney.
So this evening I sent all of you an email, just as a reminder. I want to let you know I will be out of state the 27th through the 4th. The Assistant City Attorney Lauren Ferguson will be here for the study session. She can address any city business, a routine matter in my absence, and if there are any emergencies, things that can't wait, I will reluctantly be available by phone or email.
Councilmember Williamson.
Oh, I was I was going to bring this up to Council Member Spicer after the meeting tonight, but I'll share because I do think it's important enough to share publicly. There's a part of Michigan Ave as you get down by Albion College's Norris Center where it gets a little congested with parking on either side, including the side of where Brino's business is located. It's a pretty popular hair salon, tanning salon. I think it's posing quite a bit of a safety issue, and it's been brought to my attention by the business owner and some students who live in Precinct 6 that it's a little harrowing to cross there. It's also a little harrowing to park there if you just want to be a patron of that business. And so I know that there's been some talk about the usage of the vacant lot that's adjacent to the business on Fifth Street. It would be interesting to pursue with the land bank, because I know that is currently owned by them, what their plans are. I brought this up to Gary Tompkins at the last meeting afterwards, but I think if we can do something more formally to figure out what's going on there, anything to make it more safe and anything to support local business would be good for that area. So I just want to be helpful. That was brought to my attention by a few people this last week again. And it'd be nice to see what's going on there. So I would appreciate that.
I'm sure Councilmember Reed, who sits on that land bank, can assist with that.
Can help with that as well.
But I thought there were some plans for that lot. Are you aware of that, Chief? Okay.
We're gonna find out.
I hope that we won't come to fruition.
Just to follow up, if we could please get a explanation for the resident that stood up from Lombard Street, asked about the water bills and the late fees. Get her an answer on that. There's no further comments? Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Yeah, may I have you have something else? Oh, you're right, did it again. Okay,
Make sure we get.
thank you.
Boy.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
No, that was to excuse Councilwoman Brown.
All those opposed? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Adjourned.